And this one's like the one. This first point is the one I like have the hardest time with.
Hey everybody, welcome to the SH Creative Code Podcast. I'm Casey and this is Miles, and we're back with a new season for you. We took a break.
Yep.
We actually took really from pushing and promoting anything. We took all of January off really and just kind of sat down and refocused on things, which we'll talk to y'all later about. But we're excited to be back, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm ready.
And so the goal of this podcast is for us to be a resource for you in any way possible, whether you're a pastor, ministry leader, getting into church work, anything like that. We want to be able to help answer your questions.
And we're also going to do like business stuff too. Like our next podcast is going to be about branding and things like that we've seen, and get better and better at branding, because we got to get better at ourselves.
We got to grow. It's going to be good. We got some good ones lined up.
Yeah, a lot of this is like us learning too. All right, so on this episode, we're going to talk about something that's kind of close to me and Casey in the last few years. We're going to talk about a few number of reasons why it might be hard to attend a church after you've been leading, whether you're leading on staff or volunteering. And we've both done that same staff and volunteering, and we want to better understand this topic and how it affected us, and maybe how it's affecting you or somebody else that's maybe jumping into ministry.
Yep. Because we just want to, I guess, take it, like you said, as a warning that if I could go back, especially most people who jump into ministry the first time are younger, like in younger 20s. And so we're going to try to share with you some of the mistakes we made to make sure you don't, and kind of so you can just take in the whole moment.
Oh, yeah. So before we get started on the list, do you go to church now? Attend church now?
I do. I just started working at a church again.
Okay, so for how long was that period?
Of not working?
Yeah.
About 3 years.
3 years. Wow.
So right? Ain't that right?
Yeah, somewhere around there. I think. I don't know.
You're about the same. Well, you.
No, I haven't started working back at a church, but I attend. It's online, COVID stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to church during that 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when I started
back working.
Yeah.
Oh, but I mean, attending has been hard.
Yeah, working as
for me,
working as a pastoral role. I immediately started working. Remember, I was doing creative stuff at that other church, but which is totally different side. So we'll just go on the other one. So 3 years.
3 years of attending a church.
Yeah.
Rather than leading in one.
Yeah.
So, and I've like off and on. It's been harder for me to get back into the church, especially with the COVID stuff. Me and my wife were going for a while, but then COVID hit, and it's been
COVID
hard.
was a good reason to sit at home.
Oh, man, that couch feels
and
good.
And watch online. Man, some of these churches, I told Miles, I like to get on Sunday mornings and just watch churches online and see what they did. But that 3 years between working at churches, I think, was one of the best things for me, which we'll get to in a minute. Mm-hmm. Actually, on our first point, I think I typed it up. So the first thing that we saw was...
Oh, and this one's like the one... This first point is the one I like have the hardest time with. Not working at a church, but just attending. Yeah. And that is, being in fixed mode all the time. Man,
it's dangerous.
So I'm like... when we were working at a church together, I always wanted to be like the problem solver and to help out and to, if something was messing up, to fix it, basically. And it's all that mentality of always wanting to do better and have something better and kind of like that. But this one right here, every single time I go to a church and I just
Are you still in that mode?
Yes.
You got to get out of it.
I know, it's bad.
You got to get...
But I go in and if I see something wrong, like something small, like if a guitarist or a piano player hits the wrong note, I'll look at my wife, because she's a music major. I'll look at her and she'll look at me, and I'm like... And
then the whole service is thrown off for you.
For me, a little bit. But then I'll look around and nobody has noticed, but I have noticed.
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened? Or maybe like a weird transition.
Mm-hmm. Or something didn't go right.
Yeah, I'm like, I would kind of do this better. I would talk about this to do this better. And it's always kind of running through my head. I'm also like, I don't know if you're like this too, but I'm looking at all around how they're doing.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the lights
and sound and all the stuff they have.
Being in that mode too, when we were at the church, it kind of made it where you couldn't enjoy Sundays.
Yeah.
It made it like
you couldn't focus.
Yeah, you couldn't focus, and Sundays are supposed to be. Even if you're on staff, I feel like you should be able to still grow and enjoy it. But I feel like it was from the point that when we got there, an hour and a half before service, or you like 5 hours before service, to when we left, it's like checking boxes. Did this go right? Did this work? Did this work? Did this work? Counting stats, doing all that kind of stuff. And so, being that 3 years of not being in church and going to church, I was kind of doing what you were doing, like watching. Mm-hmm. And then I just decided I'm just going to quit doing it.
Yeah.
And so now that I just started working at a church that like production quality and stuff wasn't to the level where it could be. And so I'm coming in and I'm training people how to do stuff and teaching them. And even a few weeks ago we had on the slides, I like 2 lines of words per slide. All of a sudden they add a new song like spontaneously in worship, and the person on the soundboard types it in. He pops up there and it's 8 lines of words. And I'm looking, and Katie's looking at me, and I'm looking at him like, used to, I would run back there real quick to the sound and be like, no, fix that, change that, take it off. Or just put up a blank slide, don't do that. But I just sat in my seat and I was like, I looked around and not a single person stopped worshiping because it had 8 words on it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a moment where you're like, you know what? What's an emergency to us isn't an emergency to other people.
Yeah. That's kind of my biggest thing. It's like I'm in this emergency mode and nobody even cares.
Now,
that's the biggest thing.
On Mondays when we'd have our little staff meetings, that would have been the thing we talked about, like our good and bad. But out of the people there, I was probably the only one that said, oh, that's way too many lyrics. Everybody else probably said, because for a while it was just a blank slide, they probably said, oh, I'm glad they put lyrics up.
Yeah.
So I was probably the only one that freaked out. But being in fixed mode, try to avoid getting into that. Like, enjoy Sundays.
Yes, or at least find a way to enjoy Sundays. What for me, I enjoy worship in the music.
Yeah.
And that's usually, even though I might pick up on some things, I need to focus on, like, that's almost my favorite time. So
during worship.
Yeah, to focus more on that, and maybe you'll.
So you don't pay attention to the preachers. I'm just kidding.
I got my headphones on.
He just zones out.
I watch them on Facebook Live as I'm in the service.
I saw your church had Pastor Brad Jones there this Sunday. Did y'all watch him?
Mm-hmm.
This is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. COVID and
I haven't got to it. I'm gonna watch it.
But yeah, so try to avoid that, because if you jump into that mode, it's gonna kind of make Sundays. I don't want to say miserable, but the whole service you're just, did I do this right? Did I do this right?
Mm-hmm. So you lose the focus of what's actually going on.
And so the key takeaway, I would say, I think you'd agree, is that most people don't care to the extent that you care. Like, it's not an emergency to them. So don't let it be something that just ruins your whole Sunday.
Yeah.
The second thing we talked about is having the sense of purpose.
And this goes along with a little bit of number one for me.
Yeah.
Is that I felt like my purpose was to help out. And then so leaving church, or leaving from not volunteering or on staff. Yeah. That sense of purpose was like whoosh, going away.
I know, I wrote this down that when we were just going to church, Katie and I'd see people walking around taking photos. I'm like, man, I could help you with that. That's something I'd love. That's what I'd love to do. I'd love to be a part. And so, like, just actually walking in, sitting down, getting up, and leaving at the end of service was totally different for me.
It was weird.
Yeah, and not feeling like I had to do something.
Yeah. That might be the underlying cause of number one for me. It's like the sense of purpose.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't, not that I feel bored or anything like that, but I feel like I'm just not needed.
Yeah, you like being involved in it.
Yeah, I want to be needed to help out and do something. And I don't know. I go to a little bit bigger church than where you're at. Yeah. And so,
not a little bit bigger, a lot bigger.
It's a lot bigger.
A lot bigger.
So there's a lot of positions that have already been filled, like twice over, 3 times over.
So if you're on a rotation, it's probably once a month you're serving.
Yeah, and then where we came from, where we were leading and serving at, was a small church, but we all had our role that we did, and it was our role and our purpose, to do that role.
I know most people watching may be thinking, well, what you just kind of said, but they may be thinking, well, why don't you just volunteer somewhere? Mm-hmm. But even like you said, with there being so many, on one side, we would, like when we were at church, we'd love to have it where people only serve once a month. Mm-hmm. But then for people that are wired kind of like us, no, we want to do something every single Sunday.
Yeah, every single Sunday.
Like if I sign up to serve, let me serve every week.
Yeah. Just
kind of. Let me do something.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just something. But it kind of goes back to that that sense of purpose. And if something goes wrong, not that, like, if I'm sitting at a church that I don't that I don't lead or anything like that, and then something goes off, I feel almost I don't know if you feel like this, almost kind of guilty that, man, we should have done this, and then I'm realizing, like, I don't even on staff.
You just see Miles get up out of his seat and run back to the soundboard. I know how to fix this, guys.
Okay, I got it.
I know how to fix it.
But do you ever feel like that sometimes?
Like you had the answer, but
yes,
should I be getting up and tell them? Then you're like, oh, they're gonna think I'm weird if I'm just like, hey, I know how to do that.
They don't even know me.
Yeah, sir, sit down, please. We know how to do it too. Yeah. It's just taking us a minute.
Sometimes I do feel like that. I'm like, I know I could help out.
Yeah,
and just
that's something you gotta remember too. Like, try to train other people up, because if you're constantly doing it all yourself, then the day that you leave or go to another ministry, nobody's gonna know how to do it.
And then we're kind of about to get into that section where it's like number 3 is the ugly parts of church.
Yeah.
And one of those, we'll kind of skip to that one, is the burnout.
Yeah.
It's one of the most common things, I think, in church is burnout. So like Casey was saying, if you were doing everything all at once and maybe you've gotten overwhelmed by it from being in that, let's just say, that fixed mode, you get burned out, and then it just kind of leave the church.
Yep.
High and dry. They don't know what to do, kind of thing.
You need to always try to find somebody to, I guess, kind of put on your wing to show them. Because, I mean, we've seen it a little bit. Like, if you're doing everything, like I just said, and then you leave, then how you work this hard to get the church to this level, but you're doing everything. So when you leave, the church just drops back because nobody knows how to do this
that
area.
Level,
yeah. So you got to be training people to do this part so that when you leave, the church stays right here. And so part of that too will help save you from burnout. Like, remember, you did 100 things. Think how easy it would have been if you had just gave that to somebody.
99.
Yeah, just 99. Even the small things. Think if you would have told somebody, hey, you count the people the whole service, instead of me having to run to the back and count, because that's something else that would have been off of your mind.
Yeah.
But just anything like that if it's something you don't have to do and you can easily give to somebody else, and trust other people to do it, because people want to serve for the most part.
That's
Some
the
don't.
hard part too, is trusting people to do that, to be able to, because it's never going to be with excellence the first time.
Yeah.
It's going to take time to build, just like it was when you were learning how to do stuff and I was learning how to do stuff. It wasn't perfect the first time. It's got to build up. And
you got to give them chances to keep doing it.
Yeah. So we were on number 3, the ugly parts of church that maybe people have a hard time, attending or leading is because of the ugly parts of church. And one of them we're talking about is burnout was one, and then seeing things that others don't see.
Man, the backside of church.
Oh yeah, it can be some really tough stuff. I remember we were dealing with like people on drugs and people that are, really depressed. Yeah,
and you'd have people. And you don't want to do this, but they're like disturbance almost to the point where they're kind of doing it on purpose, I guess, for attention. Yeah, and then somebody has to have that talk with them. Hey, either you've got to stop doing that, or you're not going to be able to come, until we get this figured out. So that kind of stuff that you don't think about in church. And there's a lot of those conversations.
Oh, yeah.
And there's people that, we dealt with something that they just want to control stuff. So they're like, hey, I've got a lot of money. I want to do this. And then you're like, well, let's work together and figure this out. And like, no, I'm in control. I'm doing it. And you got to be like, well, calm down. Have a seat. Stuff like that you don't think about in ministry that, so you got, how am I going to deal with this? One, seek counsel is what I would say. Because a lot of people, whether you know or not, there's going to be a lot of people mad at you a lot if you're on the staff. A lot of people are upset at staff members. And so you got to make sure that you, one, have confidence in yourself and know who you are, and two, have a great support team around you so that all that weight's not on you. Yeah.
Another thing, ugly part of church, I almost debated not to say this, but some staff members...
Clip it right here, save it, post it. I'm just kidding.
Might have a bad taste in their mouth because of decisions that leadership above them might have made.
Kind of like butting heads a little bit if you don't agree with the decision.
Yeah, and that is tough because you're at a position where you're following and trying to learn yourself and be able to lead yourself. Yeah. And lead others. And it's hard to, if you don't agree with a decision,
how to swallow it and just go with it.
Keep on going.
Yeah. Either that or read a book on how to influence people. And just get them to do what you want to do. I was kidding. Not that
Casey was the best at getting people to do what he wanted them to do.
I feel like people used to always say that I would influence people. I don't know if it's influence. I think
it's called manipulation.
I don't think it was influence. I think I just wouldn't leave people alone until like, fine, we'll do it that way.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, sometimes you and people don't agree with each other. It's the same in business, but you just have to find the common ground. All right, what's the goal we're trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
Okay, your way of doing it isn't what I agree with, but it's still going to get us on the same goal. So this time we'll go yours. Next time we'll go mine. But no, but I mean,
there were plenty of times where I was like, we're going to go with this decision. And then Casey said, nope.
Don't believe
Hey, we still got whatever we was doing done.
But then if it goes wrong, it's not your fault because it was their plan.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but sometimes that's part of being on a team, though, is that if you're on a team and it's not like you're the coach, you're just on the team, you have to value everybody's input and agree with it sometimes, even if it doesn't line up with what you want.
Yeah, there's an overall goal that has to be established every single time a big decision is made. Yeah. It's got to always reflect that goal of what's going on.
I remember some staff meeting, I was sitting around trying to argue over stuff, but it wasn't real nasty arguments, but you just got to work together. Mm-hmm. The fourth is one of the things that you miss when you're not in it is just being in the know. Now, this is just kind of like, selfish, but you love knowing, like, all right, what's the plan today? What are we doing?
Well, or even the long-term plan of what's going on. Some churches are bad at communicating, though.
Oh boy, they need to tell the congregation what's happening.
What are you doing?
This ain't, we have a whole nother idea about this. It's the church's money, so maybe they should be involved in stuff, not keeping a secret. But
as the church would mean congregation type.
Maybe have more than one vision day a year or something to share what you're doing for the year. Split it up into quarters or something. Hey, this is what happened. But yes, I missed for a while. Like when I was going, Katie and I were going to a big church, and I just missed being in the know. Like, what are we doing this Sunday? Or like, all right, the church celebrated the birthday. We have it all planned out. Oh, everybody's gonna be excited. We're doing this. I want to know what we're doing when we go to the other church, but I don't know. It's just something you miss on being out on.
Yeah, I know I do. I miss like.
Why don't you just go whisper up to the pastor's ear at your church and be like,
"What you doing?
Hey, what are we doing today, boss? Excuse me, who are you?" Oh man,
I'd get arrested probably.
I've been coming for a couple of years, man. What are we doing?
I actually have been going, attending, watching.
It's just church is like it's huge. I remember the time I came with y'all. I couldn't believe. I was so impressed with. This is sidetrack, but the church Miles goes to. I was so impressed with how many volunteers they were able to recruit.
Yes. Oh my goodness!
And it wasn't just. And it's in a college town, so you'd think that all the volunteers were just college-age kids, but you'd see, like, middle-aged people, college kids, elderly couples, white couples, black couples. It was just everybody was serving. And I was so impressed by that. And I liked how everybody had on the same shirt, all of service, so you knew who to look for.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good idea, people. But, yeah, that's how you know. That's a sign of it. This ain't what we're talking about, but that's a sign of a healthy church when you have plenty of volunteers.
Oh, yeah. I think that's just about it.
Yeah,
being in the know is probably a big one for me too.
So those are some of the reasons why it's hard to attend a church after you've led one.
Yeah.
We'll take a few minutes. Let's take like 5 minutes just catch them up on some of our projects and stuff. Yeah.
Sure. We got church rework. We're going through a process of kind of revamping, but it's up and going. And we need people to go out there and just really help the community that's over there at Church Rework to answer questions and get answers to people.
Yeah, if you don't know what Church Rework is, it's basically a forum for church ministry and pastors, and anywhere, like if you have a question about something with church ministry, whether it's from leadership to lights to stage design, you can go in there, type it in, and another pastor and ministry leader from across the world will see it, and they'll answer it, and then you can also help somebody else. So basically it's a community because and you'll see it on there, we believe that the church is better when it works together. So if you have an answer, don't hold on to it. Share it with somebody else.
Oh, yeah. And it's still building up. It's small, but it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. We're about to really start pushing it and get it going.
Oh, yeah. And then we got Church Motive. It's going through a small little design changes, but it's still up and going.
Yeah, everything that you know Church Motive for, you'll still have access to that. It's just going to be some of the marketing aspect, I guess, of it will be flipped.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's also going to be coming out with a new product, hopefully May, June,
somewhere around in there.
That will be really neat for you as a pastor if if you feel overwhelmed and like there's just not enough time in the week, this is a great resource for you each month to get a hold of.
Yeah, we're not gonna say it yet. Got copyright.
Virtual. I'm just kidding. That's all I'm gonna say.
But we still gotta nail, some details down and try to get it going. But I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And then SH Creative, we've kind of taken on just a few other projects as far as designing some. At first, we were doing no kind of clients. Mm-hmm. We've let in a few clients just to kind of get some stuff going. So you can also, if you need anything designed or anything like that, reach out to us, and we'd love to help you out in that. We still do websites, too, if your church needs a website.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of churches around here that need a website.
Yeah, get you a website. I'm excited about next week's podcast. It's going to be all about, like he said, the branding. What makes a good brand? And whether you know it or not, your church does have a brand. Mm-hmm. And so this will be a great one to listen to.
Oh, yeah.
That's it?
That's it?
Yeah, hey, like and subscribe to our channel. That helps us a lot if you subscribe to this channel. We're going to have a lot of different things coming, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right, see ya.